Death is the inevitable conclusion. No matter who you are in this lifetime, what you achieve, or how you fail, we all have the same certain destination. Now, that truth can either liberate you, offer a kind of mental freedom you never thought possible, give you the courage to take chances, set you free from the prison of your mind, release you from the chains you built from fear, and allow you to truly live. Or it can terrify the living shit out of you. When I was a kid, I kind of viewed adults as a different species. People would tell me, enjoy being a kid, you'll grow to miss it, but I remember believing I would never be an adult, so I didn't have to worry about it. I couldn't imagine being so grown that I could accomplish the things my parents did. Even when I pictured myself in the future, I had a hard time imagining what my adult life would look like, and the idea of being completely responsible for the life I'd eventually have to build was nothing but a mystery to me. I don't think that was a unique experience. In fact, I think most kids inevitably have some kind of reckoning with those questions eventually. And nowadays, especially looking around at the kids of my generation, childhood feels something like a distant dream, something romanticized and yearned for, an aesthetically pleasing highlight reel of memories that captures you with its enchanting nostalgia. For some, returning to childhood becomes an ongoing mission. Reconnect with who you were before you thought you had to be anything, as carefree as you behaved before you understood the gravity of consequence, and as hopeful and imaginative as you were before you realized the stark contrast between what's real and what only lives in your head. And we were the lucky ones, the few with the privilege of seeing our memories through a scope of wonder and passion, childhood as an enjoyable experience, a theme park ride we wouldn't mind getting to ride again. But that's never the whole story. On the other side of the fence, there's a kid who looks just like me. A kid who only remembers the wounds from his past, the battle scars from an endless emotional war with his siblings, a cry for help, and a painfully distant relationship with his caretakers that only ever seemed to swing between some form of indifference and disappointment. A place of danger and fight or flight responses triggered from a desire to no longer feel like he was surviving his life, but actually getting a chance to live it. A kid who remembers being the odd man out, an annoyance, an inconvenience to his peers, not wanted or unwanted, but more so forgotten. Never the best looker, with a defense mechanism of self-criticism set to 100 and a shame complex growing beneath the surface, slowly and relentlessly deteriorating his sense of self while people said things like, love yourself first, as if that alone could make a difference. Sometimes when I look back, I see the damage done by my own religious traumas and my family's cocktail of undiagnosed mental health disorders, never feeling safe, believing at my core something was fundamentally wrong with me. I remember how those beliefs seeped into the relationships dearest to me, how it set fire to the things that were good for me, making a farce of the people who claimed to love me because deep down I swore they ought to be lying, or maybe just kidding themselves. Still, I don't look down on my childhood. I have the privilege of remembering the beauty in between. I had people who loved me in the right direction until I finally realized that no matter how that little kid felt, I have a choice. For some of us, childhood was a playground. For others, it was a prison. Some were captains of their own ship. Most were victims of circumstance. That lack of responsibility, freedom kids talk about, for some, is just a lack of control. Some of us walked out of childhood with a few nicks, cuts, and bruises, but otherwise unscathed, stepping into life with nothing but the freedom to shape it however we wanted. And for others, that idea of responsibility was, and still is, horrifying. Not because they're unwilling, but because they were never shown it was safe to grow. They look back at how things used to be, and instead of feeling equipped to change, the past feels louder than anything in front of them. It's not always about refusing growth. Sometimes it's just not yet believing you deserve it. Chained to a psychological cage that's been unlocked the whole time, but courage doesn't come easy. Some call into the void, hoping someone will answer back with the power to make it all okay, not out of ignorance or laziness, but because they truly don't know how to answer themselves yet. We're never as old as we feel, and you're likely closer to that kid you once were than you realize. That number assigned to you isn't a reflection of who you are, just a measurement of how many trips around the sun you've survived. A way for society to track how they think you should be growing and who they think you should be by now, but none of that holds any real gravity over your identity. We create mental maps of what we thought we should have done by now, who we should have become, and we panic when life doesn't align with those imaginary timelines, but you're not your thoughts. and you're not your age. Those things don't define your capacity, and years under the belt don't measure your potential. Still, though, in a world that seems to be moving at light speed, it seems to be considered a sin to take things slow. Breathe, have patience, and feel what your body is receiving instead of finding any possible distraction to remove yourself from it. Living in electronic devices in a world overrun with a dopamine epidemic, listening to the lies they say that burying your head in the sand and just waiting it out is a viable solution. Your body is waiting for you to listen. Your mind is praying you'll one day stop being the judge, jury, and executioner and let your thoughts live freely without your constant surveillance. Your soul is banking on the hope that you'll one day tune in and let go of the need to be in control of where your growth is taking you. Because soon, in the blink of an eye, it will all be gone. And it won't matter how many I statements you left on paper, how many highlight reel moments you chased, or how successful you were at drowning out the discomfort of the in-betweens. The value of your life won't be measured by years survived or how well you justified your pain. It'll be measured by how much life you actually lived and how many moments you truly held. Childhood is a strange, shimmering place, messy, confusing, breathtaking in its own right, no matter what kind of hand you were dealt. But now that we're grown, don't forget who's holding the map. You're not that innocent, carefree kid anymore, sure, but you're also not the powerless passenger you once were. The wheel is in your hands now. And the truth is, whatever shaped you back then doesn't get to be the narrator of your life forever. You have a chance to write the next chapter differently, to step out from behind the curtain and call the shots. It was never your softness, your fear, your crying wolf that held you back. You're smarter than they let you believe and stronger than you give yourself credit for. This is the moment to pick up the pen, to step into the light, to choose your path because you finally can. Do it not out of spite, not to prove them wrong, but because you deserve to live a life of your own making. To grow back the wings they once clipped from your shoulders and stop contorting yourself to fit into the mold they carved for you. It's time to quit running from the shadows. Time to stop searching for someone to blame. Take the opportunity and run with it. And I promise you'll thank God that you did, if he exists out there somewhere. Growing up doesn't have to be the enemy. I never really prepared to make it to age 18, let alone 23, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime soon. So I guess in the meantime, I'll try to make growing up my own. Define my own evolution and carve out a space for my own purpose. In the end, I won't be able to avoid it. So I'd rather actually get to work living it and stop spending all my time in an agonizing effort to escape the weight of it.